What is a clear definition of what tawakkul is in this context and what it isn't?
All right. So when we're looking at, again, the example of tying the camel and trusting in God, we have to understand that tawakkul, is not avoidance.
Okay.
It is not this idea that, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna tie my camel in the first place because I know she's gonna, like, go off astray.
Yeah.
And so the first thing is, do not avoid putting your money to work for you. The second point is this idea of paralysis by analysis, which is, you mentioned it earlier on.
Yes.
This idea that, oh, you know what, I'm gonna write a list of all the possible risks that could happen to my camel while she's being tied. Someone can do this and this, and as a result, you never end up taking an action because you're too scared of all the possible outcomes that could happen.
Yeah.
So the second thing is making sure that you're not overanalyzing your investment situation or your investment opportunity.
So do your research, but don't overthink on the expense of taking action.
I think this is actually one thing I'm very conscious of, because I am someone who's very type A, so I will think about something like 10,000 times before I do it. And so specifically with investments, I think that stopped me from pursuing a lot of potential opportunities. And it wasn't actually until I joined the current job that I'm in that I realized what my manager would always tell me, done is better than perfect. And similarly with investments, don't overdo it where you're like, it has to be a perfect investment with the best return for me to put my money. Okay, the return here could be 10%, and here it could be 15%, and here it could dip a bit, and here it go up. So always making sure you've not got all your eggs in one basket is also really important.
And I mean, this is something that we teach in our program as well, and that we're always hosting complimentary seminars and workshops. We really teach you on, first of all, how to read economics like a pro, how to read global headlines, how to regulate yourself when you're reading something scary. And of course, in today's world, it is very volatile. We are seeing markets go up and down, crashing all the time. And it can be very intimidating for someone, like especially a beginner, to put their money in a space like that. But that shouldn't hold you back. And as we make more videos, hopefully, we're going to explain more in depth how you can do it safely or how you can do it in accordance to your risk tolerance.
And so now let's just look at what tawakkul actually means, because I told you what tawakkul is not, right?
Yeah.
What does tawakkul look like when you show up?
Yeah.
Inshallah. So the first thing is, tawakkul is taking a halal informed decision. So when we look at the concept of something, for example, like salat istikhara, it is dua that we make after you do, like any two nafil prayers. So you do sunnah and then you make the dua.
Yeah.
With salat istikhara, you're coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a decision you've made. It's not that you're like, Allah, I'm not sure, got 7,000 options in front of me, you pick one. It's saying in the dua that I have picked this is what I want to pursue. For example, this university, this spouse, this investment opportunity. And then Allah will facilitate the ease for you if it's good for you. So now you've done the istishara, which is basically the consultation beforehand. You've talked to the right scholars or the right people. So someone like Women Invest that can help you, inshallah. And then you're able to say, okay, based on this, I want to go with this company and this risk profile, right? You then pray salat istikhara or make the dua, and then you come back, and whatever it facilitates for you that's the right decision. If things start popping up and it's just like it's going very south very quickly, okay, potentially this is not the right thing, and I have to pursue another opportunity. The second point is that when you're looking at tawakkul, it is a long-term mindset. What could potentially look like a very tight, restricted, let's say, opportunity, Allah's closing doors for you, actually long-term it will work out. So maybe you will see negative numbers at the beginning of investment. That is not a bad thing always. Will you lose an investment? 100%. I'm not here to tell, right? We're not here to tell people you know what, we guarantee you're gonna grow your money. That is in Allah's hands, and may Allah make it easy for all of us to grow our wealth. But you really have to think about it as this idea that I need my money to work for me, and I'm going to use the right information at the right time to put that money to work. So we all know the concept that risk is written for all of us, right? It's written from before we were born. And so as a result of this, you have to really detach and say, you know what? I know that Allah, if He wanted something for me, it will come to me, whether today, tomorrow, or in 10 years. So this concept of long-term investment is like that you might put your money into very different buckets. And over time, that one of the buckets might 10x your revenue or your investment. And then one of them might negative 20%. And that's okay. In the end, inshallah, it will balance out and you'll always see a positive return.
100%, yes. And now we've talked about what is tawakkul, what is not tawakkul, how to reframe your mindset to work for you rather than against you. Let's talk about practical terms, which I'm sure that at this point you will be wondering about as well. Okay, I have all of these things, how do I implement it? How does investment with tawakkul actually look like? What are the steps?
Great question. So I think the first thing I would do is before you start any practical, always start with your intention. So your niyyah with Allah is to say, you know, I want to grow my wealth for you. It's not because of any monetary gain for this dunya only, but you want two in one. You can ask for the best of this dunya and the best of the next. So start with that intention, inshallah, and Allah will reward you for that. The second thing is then do your research. So let's say you decided that you have a low risk tolerance. So you're someone who you're starting out, you're like, you know what? I am not gonna like jump the gun and I'm gonna go into property. I want to start with something that I understand and that it's easy. So something like gold. You can easily go to the market, right? Buy those gold bars. They're pretty neat, right?
Or just a bracelet, or you know, whatever it may be.
Anything, exactly. And so you started with something you understand and it's easy to apply. Then inshallah, after a couple of months, you're like, you know what? Kind of like, I understand this. I've done my research. Now I want to move on to the next thing. So I do research again, and then I decide what stocks. I want to invest in stocks, halal stocks that are compliant with Sharia. And the second, and that's really important, specifically with something like stocks, you have to pay really close attention to what's Sharia and what's Sharia compliant and what's not. I think people have this tendency just to see the halal sticker and be like, you know what, that's halal. So do your research as well when it comes to the halal structures that you are investing in. So check the Sharia board, check who else has invested in it. Do you know people that like can certify or attest to them?
Yeah.
And then online there's lots of talk, right? So always do your due diligence.
Fortunately and unfortunately, actually.
Exactly. And so choose the halal structure, and the last but certainly not least is actually have a structure. So I think a lot of us, we just have this idea like, oh, just start off and whatever works out, works out.
Yeah.
As great as that is, probably will not last you very long.
You need clarity, right?
Exactly. Why is that? Because you'll get hit with different things, right? You'll have you have more stressful months, more work during months, and you want something that's consistent, something that's reliable, a system they're like, you know what, for the next 6 months, I'm going to put 500 dirhams or 100 pounds into gold. That's your strategy. Right? Stick with that and then start off the next one. And what's great is actually you can automate certain apps. You can automate investments, so you don't actually have to even think about putting the money. It's already being put for you.
Yeah, whether it's through your bank, the broker account that you're using, the capital account that you're using, all apps have this. Most websites have this, so take advantage of it. It will help you. So yeah, with all of this being said, this concludes our video. We've talked about the concept of tawakkul, what it is, what it isn't, how staying in cash really can cost you on all aspects, the various forms of risks, and how it can impact you on a personal level, whether you see it or whether you're not. And we gave you micro actions as well. Now, if you would like to take it up a notch and challenge yourself a little bit, you can also book a one-on-one complimentary session with me using the link below in the bio. And essentially what we're going to do is that we're going to run a financial assessment where we will determine your areas of strength, your areas of improvement, and 3 strategies that you can implement all by yourself. Again, Shahad, and we give recommendations that are simple enough for you to do by yourself, but we're also here to provide any guidance. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or really topics that you're interested in hearing more about, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. And thank you for watching us. Any closing remarks?
May Allah make it easy for all of you, inshallah, and may He widen your risk opportunities, and may you get everything you wish for and more. And with that, everyone, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bye.